This is a sermon given at St. David's Episcopal Church in Austin, Texas. Visit our website at stdave.org.
If you have been hanging around St. David's for the last 8 or 9 years, you know that it has become our custom on Christmas Eve to either tell this story from the perspective of one of the characters in that story we just heard, from Joseph or an angel or a shepherd or an innkeeper, or more of late to examine one of the great carols associated with this most holy night. We do that because tonight is not the night that we spend a whole lot of time digging in, explicating the meaning of the incarnation for the redemption of the world, parsing out how the creator of the universe saved us all through this work of the incarnation. No, it's too late at night for that. You've already had dinner and perhaps a wassail or two. But it's not just that. It's because tonight is the once upon a time part of the Christian faith. Tonight is when we gather and we soften the lights and we sing beautiful carols that we know, and we listen close and we hear the once upon a time. Now, usually the carols do just that, and they recount one of the stories. But this carol, the Wexford Carol, which if you would like a much more melodious version of it than you're going to experience tonight, I recommend Alison Krauss and Yo-Yo Ma's version. Pull it up on Spotify and listen to it on the way home. It'll be a palate cleanser from this sermon. But this carol is actually rather bossy. It doesn't start with the story. It starts by telling you what to do. It starts by calling your attention. Good people, all this Christmas time, consider well and bear in mind what our good God for us has done in sending his beloved Son. It kind of reminds me of perhaps a technique that a kindergarten teacher would use. So I want you to think about your kindergarten teacher. That person in particular. For me, it was Miss Reinhardt. For you, it might have been a Mr., but more than likely a Miss. You know, Miss Reinhardt, I'm thinking late in the day, after lunch, after we've come in from the playground, she's wrestled with us during nap time, and now she's trying to teach us again. But we're restless and tired. It's a beautiful day. And I was a particularly squirmy little boy. She's trying to get our attention. She's trying to teach us some facts that we need to know. But she can't get our attention. And so she begins to sing. She begins to sing the fact that she wants us to know. And when Miss Reinhardt would sing, all of our little wiggly bodies would stop wiggling, and we would find our way to sit down, and we would lean in close and listen to her sing to us, to tell us something important. And this hymn continues that we should pray with Mary. To God with love this Christmas day in Bethlehem upon that morn, there was a blessed Messiah born. Thus our once upon a time. And then it continues. Near Bethlehem did shepherds keep their flocks of lambs and feeding sheep, to whom God's angels did appear, which put the shepherds in great fear. Prepare and go, the angel said, to Bethlehem, be not afraid, for there you'll find this happy morn, a princely babe, sweet Jesus born. And this carol paints a framed picture for us, a still life. You can see it in your mind's eye, can't you? Perhaps there's one of your most famous paintings that you know, that you love, of those shepherds on the hillside. And in this still life, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's a perfect night. It's just the right temperature. The sky is clear. The stars are gorgeous. The sheep are cooperative, and they're gathered up on the hillside near the shepherds. And the shepherds are reclined in rest, being still and quiet in the night. But we know that's not how that would work, because sheep are never still. Sheep are never cooperative, from what I understand about sheep. And the shepherds were children, probably young teenagers who had been given this job to go out in the dark in the Middle East in the first century and watch over a flock of sheep. Human beings at this point just a little bit at the top of the food chain, but plenty of predators on the prowl who would happily make a meal of one of those sheep or one of those shepherds. These shepherds are not reclining. They are attentive. They are paying attention. They're listening. And then an angel appears. Now, I cannot imagine that angel sightings in the first century were any more common than they are right this minute. So it is shocking information. And they're terrifying. Angels are terrifying. We know they're terrifying because every single time they show up in the Bible, the first thing they say is, "Be not afraid." I'm not here to kill you. Whatever they look like, whatever it's like, they come with this message. It said they put the shepherds in great fear, but they come with this message: prepare and go to Bethlehem. Be not afraid, for there you'll find this happy morn, a princely babe, sweet Jesus born. What? This is the way God is going to save the world? What? This is how the creator of the universe, the first source of all being, the thing that existed before anything else existed, the thing that is beyond our capacity to imagine anything greater, this is how that is going to save the world. And the prince is going to be born in a barn. What? This particular person, Mary, this particular person, Joseph, these particular children, shepherds, God comes to them, speaks to them, says, go see what I'm doing. So something changed. Shepherds are no longer afraid, as the carol continues. With thankful hearts and joyful mind, the shepherds went this babe to find. And as God's angel had foretold, they did our Savior Christ behold. Within a manger he was laid, and by his side the Virgin Maid, attending to the Lord of life, who came on earth to end all strife. Another still life. Picture this one, this manger. It may be one of your favorite paintings. It may be one that you did yourself. It may be one like Ruthie gave me at the end of the 4:00 children's pageant this week. It's now my favorite picture. This is how God is going to save the world? What a strange image. A barn, a cattle, a manger, a place where animals eat. The babe laying there, and his virgin maid mother attending to the Lord of life. And then the most ridiculous statement in the whole carol. Who came on earth to end all strife. Well, you don't have to watch the news much to decide perhaps it didn't work. But before we go there, we might want to do a little bit of lofty theology, if you can bear with me just a minute. Perhaps the first strife that it ends is the strife that is created between God and the world. That strife. That strife that harkens back to the other once upon a time story in the garden that somehow tries to describe for us how human beings stepped away from the heart of God. And you don't have to read much history to know that human beings have been stepping away from the heart of God at a very fast pace ever since. So the incarnation, Jesus being born into the world, is to tend to that strife, to heal the rift between God and the world, and to once again build a bridge that allows us back into the heart of God through the love of Jesus. So in that way, we people of faith are putting all our eggs in that basket, that it worked. That it worked. That God has restored God's relationship with humanity and our access to the heart of God. But all strife? But since this is the once upon a time story, and since this is us in this particular moment, reflecting on that particular moment in that particular manger, in that particular place with that particular Mary, that particular Joseph, those particular shepherds, in that specific place, God doing work to redeem the world. Here we are gathered in a very particular place, with at least for a minute, our hearts open. Our hearts open to the redemptive love of God. And what if God wasn't finished yet? What if it didn't just happen at that manger with that particular Mary and that particular Joseph and those particular shepherds? Perhaps it wasn't some economic transaction that was done and fixed back in the history, but perhaps this is actually the way God works in the world all the time. This might be the most ridiculous thing I've ever said from a pulpit, but perhaps the creator of the universe, the thing beyond all knowing, the first source of all things, is redeeming the world one particular person at a time. Healing that strife. Healing that strife in our own hearts. That then can perhaps begin to heal the strife in your life with the other people around you, maybe even the people that you're sharing a house with this week. And the particular strife in our city, in our state, in our nation, in the world. Perhaps this is the mystery of the incarnation. This is how God is saving the world. So good people all this Christmas time, consider well and bear in mind what our good God for us has done in sending his beloved Son. With Mary holy we should pray to God with love this Christmas day. In Bethlehem upon that morn there was a blessed Messiah born. Merry Christmas, beloved.
You can find more lectures and sermons on iTunes by searching for St. David's Episcopal Church in Austin, Texas, or visit our website at stdave.org and click on the podcast button.